All right, so welcome everyone to this week's podcast. We are joined by Barstool's very own writer for the MLB and Yankees and the co-host of the Short Porch Yankees podcast, Eric Hubbs. Eric, how you doing?
What's going on, fellas? Happy to be here.
Yeah, so first off, we're just checking in, seeing how you're doing during quarantine. What are you doing to, stay sane, and hopefully you all doing well and staying healthy?
Yeah, so I live in the city. My hometown is Central Jersey, in Alphen. So I was in the city. I have 3 roommates. They all kind of went home because they live like in driving distance, like 20 minutes out. So they had their parents pick them up, and I'm like an hour and a half drive. So I didn't want to make my mom come out here and do all that. So I stayed. I waited for a little bit. I self-quarantined for like 3 weeks to make sure, if I was asymptomatic or any of that, and don't want to give it to my mom and anything here. That's the last thing I want to do. So
Right.
I waited it out, and then I came back. I hitched a ride, and I've been here for a few weeks. Honestly, like, I'm really lucky. I tell people this, that like Barstool is such an awesome job, and like kind of like to solve my boredom, I work. Like, I literally write blogs, and it's fun. Like, I wanna work. I from morning till night. Like, in between that, I'll eat meals and have movies on kind of nonstop and shows and all that in the background. And here and there, I'll play a little bit of MLB The Show. But for the most part, I'm just working kind of just to solve the boredom. And a lot of my friends are accountants and teachers, and their jobs suck. So like, I can't imagine having like that type of situation going where like it's the options are do a horrible thing that you hate doing all the time, or literally stare at the wall or sleep, or that sucks. So at least I have a fun job to look forward to and do every day, and it's helping somewhat, and I'm honestly doing okay. Like I do well alone. Like, I don't need other people around me. Like, it's really nice having my mom here to cook me food, and then that's not the only interaction I have with a human being besides. And then there's my dog, which I take for a walk every day, so that I get my outside and my exercise. But other than that, I don't need to like talk. Like, these are nice to do every now and then, interviews and stuff, and obviously we do short porch interviews and all that. That's how I communicate with people. I'm fine not talking to people. Like, I'm kind of thriving in this, I think.
I get that. Well, I think
a lot of us were kind of, it's almost a joke now, but bred for this, like staying in, playing video games, watching Netflix, and blogging, podcasts, all that. I mean, it's not really that much different from what we would normally be doing on a given weekend,
Yeah, this is like where people at Barstool kind of like show if they're like cut out for it or not. Like, I like to think I am. Like, I'm coming on like 3 years. I want to say it's over 3 years me being there. Like, I like doing this. Like, I enjoy writing blogs and finding stories and making people laugh and tweeting and all that. And we all can watch the Jordan documentary last night together. Like, I don't know, I like this stuff. So yeah, I do want to go to a bar. Like, I would like to go to a bar at some point.
Would be nice.
And it's gonna start killing me when it gets really nice out and it's like 65 to 70 consistently, and then gets hotter and hotter. And I'm going to be like, well, I wish you can go outside and shoot some hoops or whatever and play pickup basketball and, just do all that. Go to a bar, a rooftop bar, and watch a baseball game. Like, that stuff that's going to kill me. Right now, where like, at night it's 30 degrees, not killing me yet. But flash forward a month from now, not going to be great. But I'm holding on for dear life right now.
Yeah, Memorial Day weekend coming up in a month.
Yeah.
We're going to be wanting to watch baseball. I know you're doing all right home. You're catching up on your Gossip Girl. You're doing good with that.
121 episodes in 2 weeks.
Incredible.
This might set a record, honestly.
It was great. I literally worked and I had it on in the background and I would pay attention that way, and it just is insane. I've tried to do other shows since, and honestly, nothing's like Gossip Girl. So I have yet to find something like Gossip Girl. So I think I'm gonna try Succession next. I heard that's really good.
Okay, yeah. Actually, my parents were watching that. They like that. But you were talking about the MJ documentary. Before we get into like your background, what were your initial thoughts for last night's episode 1 and 2? I know we all watched it and we loved it. We like seeing some more MJ whenever we can. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, like, there's the shittiest part of all of this quarantine is like days kind of don't matter anymore. They're so inconsequential that like, what's really the difference between a Monday and a Saturday, a Friday and a Tuesday? Really nothing. Like, you do the same shit. Like, maybe you'll do like a virtual happy hour with your buddies like on a Friday and all that. Besides that, nothing. For me, like, looking forward to the MJ documentary, that was like a change. That was like cool. It was I built it up like it was almost the Super Bowl. Like, I remember walking my dog at 6:00 and I'd be like, let's fucking go. 3 hours to go.
Yeah.
And then we got 2 hours of this MJ doc. And honestly, it's cool for me. So I'm 26. So I missed the whole Jordan era, like of being like
Right.
I was a
Same
kid,
with us.
like I was a little kid. I don't remember that shit. So you see the highlights of Jordan, and obviously like some stories here and there, but I don't know. I honestly I was looking forward to it from the sense of like I didn't know Michael Jordan like as well. I still think he's I know he's the GOAT and all that, but
That's good.
like I needed that documentary last night to fill me in with some more stuff, and it was great. And I think it's gonna be stuff to look forward to from here on out. We got the draft coming up on Thursday. That's another thing to look forward to.
Right.
And then whenever I do an interview with a player or something like that, that's something to look forward to. Other than that, I got nothing to look forward to. So well, I simplify life basically doing that.
No,
I
we
think
know
in
what you're
terms
saying.
of building up the doc too, and I think KFC actually tweeted this, speaking of Barstool, but it was that feeling of like pre-game where the game is about to start, and even though it was a documentary, your heart started pumping and you were like rearing and ready to go. It was awesome.
I was so furious at Peyton Manning because that was the
Before the
I was like, get off the fucking screen. Like, I don't care about you trying to be a Bears fan right now.
Right.
The Bears baptism right before, I was like, shut up.
It kind of reminded me of, like, what is it, TNT Basketball on Thursdays?
Mm-hmm.
What's the show right before? There's the same stupid show right before. And, like, if it's a big game I'm looking for, if the Knicks are ever good. And, like,
Right. Oh, that's a while back.
But it has happened, like, 5 years ago, let's say.
Right.
Like, the Knicks were cooking. And there's always this show, Bones. Bones is on it.
Oh,
my
always
God.
Bones.
From
Yep.
7 to 8. And I'm always like, no one wants to watch Bones right now. I want to watch, like, Lakers Celtics at 8 o'clock. It had the kind of same feeling with the Peyton thing.
ABC too. They always do the Good Doctor, and I cannot stand that kid.
Yeah.
I can't stand him.
He's a show
probably a
off.
great show, probably a fine show.
Probably awesome.
Get off my screen.
Yeah. Yeah, but
I had to go into the background. I'm like super intrigued at how like you bloggers kind of first came about and like got so popular at Barstool, and I was just wondering like how was the interview process like? How did you find them? How did that connection come?
Yeah, so I was at Syracuse my freshman year, which is 2012, and some girl who like we had become friends with, she got to know me a little bit. She was like, "Have you ever heard of Barstool Sports?" I'm like, "No, what is that?" And she's like, "Oh, it's this big Boston thing." And I was like, kind of like pushed off away from it. I was like, "Boston, like
Yeah.
yeah, no, we're all up there. We know that.
Like so I kind of like didn't pay attention to it for a little bit, and all of a sudden like it popped up on my timeline or whatever, and all of a sudden I became addicted to it, and ever since then I was just a huge stoolie. Part of like dinner at college would be me like with my phone watching the rundown. And, like my girlfriend would be furious. She'd be like, "Pay attention." I'm like, well, this is really funny, and you're not. So I'm gonna pay attention.
Also,
Priorities, you gotta weigh them out.
yeah,
Yeah.
how's Dave? I feel like he's obviously so funny, and like how was that interview process like, and how did he catch
Yeah.
you?
I'm getting to that. So
Oh,
so I paid attention to it, obviously, and became a big fan, and then graduated college with like a shitty GPA and no prospects whatsoever of like
that's
job.
fair.
So I took this sales job in the city. That was pretty good starting salary, and like it was sports related. So I was like, all right, let's build from this and see where we can go. Maybe you want to stay there for a long time, maybe you don't, but at least like good money. Ends up being just the biggest smoke and mirrors like company in the world, and I can't trash them enough. It's the worst place on planet Earth to be. I follow them on Instagram just for comedy purpose at this point, because like I see new hires and I kind of giggle inside, like you have no idea what you're getting into at this point. Like they would time me in the bathroom, they yell at you, they listen to you on the phone. It was a cold call company, so like you have to make 300 phone calls a day. If you don't hit that number, they get mad at you. 300 phone calls a day,
That's
and it's
too
from
much.
8 to 5. You literally, the way it works is the first hour of the day from 8 to 9 you can't go to the bathroom. The last hour of the day 4 to 5 you can't go to the bathroom, and then there's lunch. There's a scheduled lunch from 12 to 1. Half hour before 12 and half hour after 1 can't go to the bathroom either, because they think you're just trying to stall until lunch gets there. So you just, and then when you go to the bathroom, if you're there for more than 7.5 minutes, they start to ask you questions. It's fucking awful. It's so bad. And then they're always just yelling at you nonstop. I wasn't good at it. So 3 months in or whatever. So this is 2016. They were they were calling 2016. Barstool had just moved from, so they had Boston, New York, DC, all that. They were moving to the one thing in New York. I was like, this is awesome. Like, I would love to be a part of this somehow. Like, and this is finally like before that, it was like, well, what am I gonna do? Work from home and all that? I don't know if they're, it's probably not gonna pay too well, all that. And finally, when we moved to New York, I was like, okay, this is your shot. Like, this is coming together. Let's give it everything you have. And so they were doing their intern run with like, that's where Rhea got hired, Glennie got hired, all them. Me, not the guy that's going to stand out in that type of interview process where I'm just a normal looking, like 150-pound white guy, like not really funny at all. So I don't know. I didn't even apply at that part of the year. I was just like, I know I'm not going to get that. So I waited, and K. Marco was the editor-in-chief. He is the editor-in-chief. And he was just getting all this new responsibility on his plate. And I knew that he probably needed some help with it because he was going from being a blogger to the editor-in-chief of a big-time media company. So I emailed him, poured my heart out, didn't expect anything in return. And I got an email back like 2 days later. It was like, when can you come in for an interview? And I remember like calling all of my buddies and was like, holy shit. Like he just responded to me. Like I'm going into Barstool for an interview at this point. So I went in on a Friday. I took like a half day from work. And I actually remember it was Hawaiian Friday. So I tried to like blend in whatever. And I remember changing from like what I was wearing, like walking the streets of New York, changing into a Hawaiian shirt. And like people probably look at me like I had 5 heads. And
hey, it's New York City though.
It was really tough to find this place. I'm terrible with directions, and I got to the area, but I could never find where the building was. I asked probably 5 or 6 different stores where I was supposed to go. None of them had any idea. They didn't even like speak English. But I eventually get in there, and I sit down, I do the interview. And honestly, there's not much to prep because I was prepping for K. Marco, and he's just like a normal guy. So like he's not going to ask me like I was ready for him a little bit, like the business questions, but I never got them. I was just like kind of like who you are, your backstory, all that, what you can do. And after like 10 minutes, he's like, all right, I don't know what else I can ask you at this point. Hang on. And then he brings in Erica, the CEO. Wow. I'm like, this is not the interview I was prepared for. So I remember, she's asking you strengths and weaknesses and all that. And I'm like, I don't know. And I literally do not remember any part of that interview. I blacked out. I was so terrified. Must have done well because they did ask me to come in I remember I told him, I was like, it does not matter if you can pay me right now. Just let me try and make some sort of impact in some sort of period of time. If it's not working out and you can't pay me at that point, then I'll leave. Like, it's fine, but at least I got the shot. And that was enough to convince him. He thought I was overqualified because he didn't know what the hell he was going to ask me to do. And for a while, I kind of had to figure out things to do, like that would like work for him, whether it was just sitting in on the rundowns and pulling up and writing down every funny quote that you heard. And then that could be used for the newsletter. And like just simple shit like that would make his life easier. And eventually, like, it proved over time that I could be valuable to him. And now I'm his number 2 pretty much for the company. So like, with I'm like basically the assistant to the editor-in-chief. So kind of worked out that way. But honestly, I never had a job before that point, like longer than a year. Like maybe I worked for Modell's as like a sales associate, hated that too. Okay. So like I figured like, hey, let's commit to something one time in your life and actually like go full balls, full everything at it, full throttle. And ended up working out pretty good. Eventually he allowed me to write a little bit. The first thing I actually ever wrote about was college football for Barstool. Oh, cool. Really? And I like college football plenty, like I gamble on it a ton and all that, but I'm not a football guy. Like, I can't tell you why you should be in a 3-4 defense as opposed to a 4-3, zone against man. That stuff just doesn't fascinate me. And so, like, my articles were fine. I remember people shit on me because I picked Lamar Jackson in the Heisman after, like, week 4, so I nailed that. But I remember getting so high on them. That I said they could beat Alabama. And then they ended up getting blown out by some dog shit team in, like, their bowl game. I was like, oh, well, I guess I was wrong there. People like every comment section for my blog after that would be like, remember when you thought they could beat Bama? I'm like, I don't care anymore. So, like, right. I don't like college football. So, but eventually, I mixed my way into writing about the Yankees a little bit. I was doing like a weekly recap to start. And then JJ kind of was moving on and he was starting a family in Philadelphia. So eventually I just took over full time there and here we are. So that's the story basically of how I got started. I never
No.
interviewed with Dave. Dave had nothing to do with my hiring.
I mean, that
Oh,
makes
really?
sense.
That's great. Also, one thing too that intrigues me is the stool scenes. Like, how does it feel having a camera on you 24/7?
Yeah, I mean, you get used to it. It's
Yeah.
weird at first, but you just have to always kind of be on. But
Mhm.
it's just part of it. And
It's
honestly,
great
like
content, I
our
think, 'cause
normal
it's so authentic.
normal personalities, like are for content. So it's like you
Yeah.
don't have to put on a show or anything, but like you have to be wary of what you're saying for sure, and you never know what's being used and all that. So you just have to be careful. But I mean, after a little bit, you don't even notice like the cameras are there.
Right. And I mean,
Sorry, just real quick. So recently Call Her Daddy like just kind of blew up out of nowhere. Like, what was that like in the office? Because I don't really think anyone there has blown up that fast.
Yeah, I mean, well, they were big before they came to Barstool.
years.
They were huge. They had a huge following. So it kind of like, and they combined with us, and you combine a superstar with like a big time company like us, and it makes sense that they're going to blow up and all that. And they have a crazy big time audience, so they're huge. Their podcasters, they're monsters. They're awesome.
Right. And I mean, you were, obviously for every kind of college sports loving kid, like Barstool is the dream job. And, you were kind of talking about how you got from, just the interview process to just kind of being like that second man to editor-in-chief. Like how has this really like sunk in for you? I mean, like you're going to these Yankee playoff games, like you're going into the office every day being like, I'm this qualified Barstool Sports writer. Like how, like 5 years ago even, would you have thought you would be where you are right now? Like how is this for you?
Yeah, like I remember like some of my college buddies, I left like a year into Barstool. They're like, could you imagine talking to yourself like sophomore year where you're just sitting at dinner, like watching rundowns and like now you're just a part of the whole thing? Like it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. I I couldn't imagine in a million years that it would happen like this. So, but I mean, I never take a day for granted. Like I just, whenever something becomes too much for me, I always just think about the job you had right before this. Don't go back to that. Like, don't do whatever you can. Just stay here and do as much as you can because you'll never have an opportunity like this anywhere. Like anywhere. Some of my family members who like aren't really too into Barstool, like I kind of explain it to them as if it's like calculus, and they'll be like, "Oh, we ever want to go somewhere else? Like maybe like." Like ESPN or the S Network. And I'm like, no, like you don't have the fucking creative freedom there to do whatever you want. And
no, for sure.
And I mean, like, it's just no. I love this place. It's just the best. Like the freedom you have to do whatever you want and write about whatever you want, and just how you're kind of your own boss in the sense of like, there's never like write 2 blogs. You have to write this many blogs a day. It's just like you want to be competitive with everyone else and you want to do well. Like. You know the numbers. You know what everyone else is putting out there. You have to match that. You have to just keep up with it.
That's one of the things too that makes you guys so like attractive is that like you don't have to be by those like strict guidelines and you can just kind of be who you are and like people like that and it's not like ESPN where you have to be politically correct all the time.
You see guys like Big Cat KFC and K-Marco.
Big Cat's hilarious.
How did they get to this point?
It's
they
so
busted
funny.
their ass. They used to write like 15 blogs a day when there was just them on the website. So like.
Right.
If they're writing 15 blogs a day, why can't I write 7 or 8 when like we have more writers and all that? But like there's just no reason like that's how if you want to get to anywhere close where those guys are now, you have to bust your ass. You can't just write like 1 blog a day and just think like sure like this job's sweet, like I'm so happy to be here. Like never be happy to be here. Just always try and push.
No, for sure. Speaking of Big Cat, you Coach Doug's fan? Do you like this? You like
no,
his
he
growth?
took down Syracuse, so fuck that.
True. I was watching that game, and I'm a big Syracuse fan, too. I know I go to Providence, but I'm a big Syracuse fan. My family's always been. I was watching that. I was like, you're in the Dome. Like, come on. Like, you got to hold your own, Orange. But
I thought that was a trap game coming. He was coming off his big like top 5 win on the road. Kind of like you could feel like the emotional letdown, and it happened for the first half and the second half. He just took over.
Yeah, I was disappointed in that. But, yeah, speaking of Big Cat, disappointing. And I think Jack had a question.
Oh, me? No. I just kind of wanted to get into a little more about the actual Yankees now and kind of talk about where we're at and everything from the Houston Asterisks and what's to come, Garrett Cole, everything like that.
So give me a question. It's a lot. Give me a start.
Yeah. So firstly, when it comes to Houston, do you think that by now, if this hadn't all happened, the cheating and everything, do you think that we have at least one title going into this season?
Oh, yeah. They win 2017.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, without question, they win 20. They were the better team. Like they scored more runs than them in the series, even with the cheating. Like
home team won every game too.
Yeah, like they were the better baseball team. When they played in Houston, they had their power zapped because they were getting cheated on. Like, it's pretty simple. It's just like, it's not, and people can be like, oh, well, they only scored this many runs in Houston. Well, you know what? Like Houston should have scored any. They weren't scoring any runs in Yankee Stadium. They shouldn't have fucking scored any in Houston. Like,
no,
and
for sure.
there was I don't know. There were 2 one-run games. Like, what are you talking about? So
yeah.
And the worst part about that too is that they should have won game 2, and they still were getting signed and all that. It's like it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then this past year, that's like the best baseball team I think I've like seen out of the Yankees. Like even with like a shaky starting rotation and all that, like that offense 1 through 9 was just so good, and the bullpen too. Like that just doesn't make sense to me how that team just didn't win. That sucks.
For sure. And going back
Garrett Cole's a motherfucker, so that's what it comes down to.
Exactly. And going back to that 2017 team, I listened to R2C2. I know you like Ryan Roku and CC, obviously. And I forgot I guess it was right when it came out, CC was talking, and they're like, you just knew going into 2017 when you were going to Houston, he was like, fuck, like, you're not going to win there. And it's like, if you know that, like, you know something is happening. Like, there's no place in baseball where you're just going in, you're like, man, I'm going to lose there. Like, you want to have that energy, like, every single time. And, like, to know that, like, that's where I think is, like, very shady.
Yeah, I mean, they all knew it. They didn't know what was going on, but they knew something was going on. Like, it was very apparent. I remember talking to Talkman, like, and he would say the same type of shit. He's just like, there's something going on there. We don't know what it is, but, like, it's just not a place where we do well. So, it sucks. It sucks, and it really sucks that this quarantine's going on and all that. Obviously, like, bad that, like, the world's dying and all that. Horrible. But, like, sports-related side and a selfish side, it's like, well, I really want the Astros to kind of get the shit booed out of them and brawls and all that. And they're kind of getting a pass from all this because there's not going to be any fans if they resume play. So that sucks.
Right. And it's obviously not helping with Manfred not kind of laying down the law there. I mean, I know a lot of us, including myself, maybe think the 2017 title should be stripped, and, like, adding this more, like, kind of giving them the leniency that, like, kind of playing, oh, like, it's okay, like, slap on the wrist mentality. Like, this is, since the steroid era, the most, if not the biggest scandal in modern day baseball. And
I think because with steroids, everyone was doing it. Like, you had guys in every single team doing it. And also, you could tell a pitcher, oh, would you rather a guy know what pitcher's coming or be on steroids? And they tell you, let me face the guy on steroids. Like, it is such an advantage when you know what pitch is coming. It's crazy. So I think it's bigger than steroids for sure. It's not as widespread, but that almost makes it worse that there's just one team against everybody else, and they won the fucking championship.
And to see them come from that rags to riches team, like, they obviously were at the bottom of the league every single year, going up, I guess, until the 2015, 2016 years, where they were getting a lot better with Springer and Altuve Correa.
I don't even know how good those guys are, though. I don't know if they're good at baseball.
I say the same thing.
You look at their home numbers, and they're so much better, and then you look at their on the road. It was Josh Reddick. I'm not going to remember his exact numbers, but the 2017 postseason, you look at his on the road batting average. It was something like .140, like, not good at all.
Reddick had one hit in the ALCS.
Yeah.
One. He knew the ball was coming. He still couldn't hit it. He's a waste. And then he just complains about noise all the time. That guy stinks. But, like, no, Altuve was like a 430 hitter at home. On the road, like 200. Correa, the same type of thing. Bregman, all that. It's just, I don't know. And then who was the second baseman who's now on the Twins? Marwin Gonzalez. He was a superstar. Now he can't hit the baseball at all for the fucking Twins. So it's just – they're just a team of all frauds. And I'm sure they were cheating with pitching, too, in some way with the pine tar and the grip and all that, generating spin rate and all that. Sure, they were cheating. You know, if they're cheating one way, then they're probably cheating a lot of other ways. So, like, they're not going to stop. So
I hate Bregman too.
How can you not? He's the loudest guy in the world, and then the moment he gets caught cheating, he doesn't say a word. At least play the villain and, like, act like Correa, like, where he's just, like, telling people fuck you and you're wrong and find me facts. At least if you're gonna act like that when you're cheating and winning everything, when you get caught, be the same way. At least play ball. Don't act like a fucking spineless bitch like you are right now. I don't know. It's just he's just such a loser.
The worst guy I think in that for me is Verlander, because he's like coming out with everything. Like he's going on all these rants like last year about like how the game sucks and everything, and then he's the one that's silent during this. And I'm like, come on.
Oh, he's a pitcher on the team. He doesn't know what's going on with the hitters.
Come on. Obviously no.
Bullshit. So it's just the way they're so arrogant, and they would laugh off any notion of cheating and all that, and it just ends up being so true. And then who knows about the buzzers? I mean, I'm pretty sure the buzzers happened, but there's just nothing. Manfred won't dig deep into it because he knows that's opening another fucking box that he doesn't need in his head. So he's trying to simplify it and limit it and all that, but it's just I don't know. I just wish they were playing baseball right now so people could be giving them the business, and it would be more fun that way. Hopefully, fans are building up this aggression, and whenever they get back into the game, and they're allowed back in stadiums and all that, they bring the fire. But who knows? I feel like it's just gonna die down because it's gonna.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it has a valiant effort going right now. You see all the Twitter pages, like the Houston Astros shame tour, like they're kind of like keeping it going, and you see all these people you see stuff come out every day. But I really hope it goes into either if the season starts later or next year, like whenever the season does start, I hope it keeps on going. So
yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? We can only hope.
Speaking of the buzzers too, I loved Bellinger's comment. I thought that was classic.
Bellinger was awesome. Great. There were a lot. Harper had some good ones. Trout even spoke. He didn't say anything about except for the weather, and he said things. So
nicest guy in baseball too.
Bellinger was really good. Bellinger, I gained a lot of respect for him, and not that I didn't have any before, but plays for the Dodgers in the National League. I don't know. I know he's a really good baseball player, obviously, MVP and all that, and hits a ton of home runs, and he's kind of just a laid-back guy. But for him to come out and be like that and defend Judge and all that in the MVP, that was cool. I like that a lot. He definitely gets some votes for me.
So are you a Giants fan too, heading into this draft?
I'm a Packers fan.
That's right. Yeah, one of our bloggers on this, he's a big Packers fan. He said that.
So what are you guys thinking going forward? Heading into the draft, what are your hopes?
Well, that's 30. I'm way bigger of a Yankee fan than a Packers fan. I'm just a Yankee fan above everything. And honestly, it sucks to say, but ever since they won the Super Bowl, I was a huge Packer fan as a kid. Ever since they won the Super Bowl, I kind of feel like I chased it and I got it, and it kind of trickled down a little bit. I'm still a big fan. I love football and all that, but the Yankees are so much better. Obviously, the Yankees are my job. I don't have a Packers podcast, but no, I mean I still paid. And obviously, the NFL draft, it's like sports right now. This is a live event. I need this as long as people's Wi-Fi works, and who knows what's gonna happen with that. Who I want the Packers to go after? I want a receiver badly. Then get Chenault from Colorado. That would be awesome. That guy is sick. And then Justin Jefferson too from LSU. One of those guys. They just need a number 2 receiver who is legit and not just some scrub they take in the 3rd round who pans out more from Missouri. I don't know. It just doesn't. They have a good 3-4 with Lazard and Scantling. Those guys are pretty much just both 3s. They're not 4s, so that's good. That's strong depth. But they need a number 2. None of those guys are 2s. So I want a Jefferson. I want a Chenault. Maybe if they somehow trade it up. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Goody. He's a really good GM, and I really like what he's done so far. So maybe make something happen. And if you're going to go defense, I guess, get someone who can stop the run, because what the Niners did to them was demoralizing, and I don't need to see that again.
Yeah.
And
Ken and Carey. Can we just do something else other than that?
Yeah. Do you?
I will say Marquise Lee just got cut by the Jaguars. Would take that guy in a heartbeat. That guy's pretty good at football.
Yeah. Leading receiver for them last year.
You just have to pay the guy. You don't have to waste a draft pick. Just pay the man. I would take that.
No, for sure. So leading into the draft, a couple days away, do you have any bold takes on it? You think there's going to be anything surprising happening?
I think the Browns will probably miss their pick because they lose their Wi-Fi.
The Browns.
Yeah. One of my best friends is a Browns fan. It's just so funny.
Yeah.
Him and my Jet friends, they just always go at each other and oh, remember when you went winless? And I was like, you're talking shit. You won 5 games, 3 straight years in a row. You hear Jets and Giants fans, Jets and Browns fans going back and forth.
Right.
Do I have a bold prediction? I think Herbert's going to go way too high.
Yeah.
He stinks. That guy's just a bad quarterback.
Who do you think's better, him or Tua?
I love Tua. I would almost be willing to take Tua over Burrow. I worry about Burrow because throughout his whole life, people have doubted him. You know, like he's on the where is he? Ohio State, and he's like 4th on the depth chart. He transfers. He goes to LSU. His first year playing with LSU, he's a terrible quarterback. Like he played Alabama, got the doors blown off of him.
Right.
And he's always people doubting him. Now he comes off this huge year where he's the surefire #1 pick. It's like you wonder if he loses his edge a little bit, like, and if he even wants to play for the Bengals and all that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I worry about that. The arm talent's there. I mean, he makes every
Oh, for sure.
ridiculous. Yeah. But I love Tua. I just, you worry about the health and all that. His body can hold up. I'm a big Tua guy. I love his whole makeup, the lefty, the arm strength. I love everything about Tua. And he's a very intelligent guy, well-spoken dude. I'm a big fan of Tua. I hate Herbert, though. I can't stand him. I wouldn't draft him. If he was available in the 7th round, I wouldn't take him. No thanks.
Well, it would be maybe the steal of the 7th round if he'd be there, but
yeah.
I'm a lefty, so I'm a big Tua fan too.
Yeah.
Because you never see like the southpaws do well in the NFL, and you always want to see that one lefty that kind of gets there. So I think it'd be cool if Tua was that guy. I hope he can get rid of his injuries that he's had and come out the same or even a better player from that. But I think he can.
Really ideal if he went to a place where he can just sit behind the guy for a year. Like
for sure.
He won't admit that, but it would do him a lot.
Even Chargers, if they're saying they're so sure with Tyrod Taylor being the starter, even if he gets like a year or half a year behind him.
Yeah, or even the Dolphins.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like just –
maybe still have Fitzpatrick.
Just sit behind Fitzpatrick. You'll probably still win. They added a ton of guys. They could still probably win 8-9 games in that division now that Brady's gone. So
yeah, I mean,
who knows? I think it would be so much better for him, his physique and mentally. It just always helps to feel like to sit out a year. Rodgers sat out like 5 years, and he was it was very well paid off.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and Tua's just like that hardworking guy. His work ethic is incredible.
Yeah.
And my friend actually goes to Bama, and he was saying one time how his freshman year, like Jalen Hurts would be out every single night, and Tua he has never seen once, like on campus anywhere. That dude just locks himself in his room, studies the playbook.
I can see Tua being a guy who doesn't drink either.
Yeah.
Another guy,
Jordan.
Jalen Hurts stinks.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, feel bad for him.
I feel bad, and he's a really good dude.
Yeah.
And the ultimate teammate, and he'd probably be a good backup quarterback in the NFL. But that guy can't be starting quarterback.
No.
He just
for sure.
He just doesn't make good enough throws. And he can run, sure. Maybe he can be a goal line package guy.
Yeah.
But that guy's not a starting quarterback.
No, not at all.
So to kind of like shift things here, one thing I thought was really funny was the Red Sox playoff run, which I'm sure you hated, and obviously as diehard Yankee fans as we all are, like we kind of sympathize with you.
Yeah.
But how was that getting the shit from Carabas? That must have sucked.
There's just not much you can do because you mess up and like you have to take the consequences, and you're at the mercy of Dave Portnoy. So
right.
Honestly, I had people like on the sides telling me like, at the end of the day, this is really good exposure for you, and like your name's getting out there and all that, and it will be good for you at the end of your for your career. You'll look back at this and be like, this is thank God this happened. Certainly not saying thank God this happened because it was horrible, and I had to.
We hate seeing the Red Sox win.
I always regret, and one of my bigger regrets in life is just not putting so much money on the Red Sox to win the World Series. Where, at least if they just won the whole thing, I was going to be rich. So I didn't do that. I actually did the opposite. I just kept betting against them. It's an idiot. But no, it was terrible. Going to Boston, you just like you're getting your soul like ripped out of you, and it's just terrible. Like there's no smoke and mirrors behind it. Like I was fucking miserable. Like it was horrible. And and just there's not much you can do. I was just kind of like bursting onto the scene of like being a full-time writer and all that. So like. I don't know. I was just in a bad spot. At the end of the day, it was probably good for me because, look at me, I'm still here. But like it beat me down. I mean, that actually happens. Like it's almost like a rite of passage at Barstool where you go through something like that, where like it cripples you. Like you're not gonna go through Barstool and be all like happy-go-lucky all the time with sunshines and rainbows. Like you're gonna get beaten down at some point in your career, whether it's sports or something else. So that was mine, and. You take it on the chin as best you can, and you move on. So here I am.
Yeah, I remember being at Boston College and on campus, and the Red Sox winning may have been the worst week of my entire life. Just hearing Sweet Caroline blaring down the halls and us trying to drown it out with New York, and walking. I remember I wore my Thurman Munson jersey around campus on the day of the parade and just getting the absolute glares from people.
Oh, yeah. Balls to get that.
Yeah. Me and Tommy were up in Providence. We get the same thing. I think the worst song that's ever been made is Dirty Water. I hate that song. It's what is fun about singing about, I don't even want to get started on that, but, that was a terrible match for New York fans, especially up in New England. But kind of going off of that, you're talking about how, you kind of rebounded from this. You're here now. You're still here. Kind of talk us through, what is made this experience fun for you, doing Short Porch and also writing about the Yankees. Kind of tell us about that.
It's my job to cover the Yankees. It's part of my job. That's not my whole job. I do a lot of other things, but it is. I mean, at the end of the day, if Yankee news happens, it's my job to cover it, and that is pretty fucking cool. And the amount of guys that I was just talking to my buddy the other day. He was like, "When's the Canley interview come out?" I'm like, "Oh, it came out Wednesday, or whatever." And he's like, "Oh, that's crazy. Can you just imagine?" It was just I was just like, yeah, I guess the pod's taking off lately. He goes, safe to say, that's kind of an understatement because the guys that we've had on in the past year plus, it's crazy. It's it's just absolutely nuts. And we started the Short Porch kind of just as a hobby. We'll see where it goes. We had no, we weren't a Barstool podcast to start. We waited a full year to become a Barstool podcast, and now we added mush and all that. But it's so much fun. I mean, we're interviewing Luke Voigt tomorrow for the second time on the show.
Awesome.
It's just it's just gonna be a normal thing. We're just talking to Luke Voigt. We're shooting the shit with him. He's a friend of ours, and Tommy Canley now. He's a friend. We never thought we can get to Tommy Canley because he doesn't have social media, but now you can't get enough of us, and then we interact with him on Twitch and all that. So it's great. And we have guys like Mike Talkman and Mike Ford and Ottavino. And just go down the list, and it's just so cool. It's so cool.
No,
it's
for
really,
sure.
really, really cool. So you just don't. You try not to take it for granted at all.
How'd you manage to get Canley?
What'd you say?
How'd you manage to get Canley?
About a year's worth of talking to his agent and his manager and getting the right connects to the right people and figuring it out from there. Wasn't easy because he's not a guy who you can just reach out on Instagram or Twitter. He doesn't have it. So you get to a lot of these guys. And but no, a lot of behind the scenes and emails back and forth and figuring out the right times and proving what we're going to say was, the right message and all that. And at the end of the day, I always say, me, Tommy, Marty, TJ, we're all just big Yankee fans. And we only want, at the end of the day, the Yankees to win the World Series. So we would never, ever put any of these players in bad positions, to say things. And, if we need something taken out, we're more than happy to do that to make you guys feel comfortable. So, whenever we pitch that to an agent, there's not much you can say. It's yeah, sure. We're down because at the end of the day, we just want the team to do well. So and we want to bring out the good side of these guys and the personable side that makes them relate to fans and all that. So we feel we do a pretty good job with it.
Yeah. And you're talking about how this podcast is kind of blowing up the past year, and you're talking about kind of getting them to know them on a personal level. What do you think was the most, or what do you think was the best or most engaging person you had come on the podcast? For the people listening out there, his most recent Tommy Canley, he said John Sterling, he said the Sock Man. We love the Sock Man here at Big Picture.
Sockman's interesting because he's so he just thinks everything through. You ask him a question and he'll kind of stare at you for 10 seconds and you almost wonder if he didn't hear you, but he's actually just thinking about the perfect answer to respond with. So the first time interviewing Mike was interesting. The second you get used to it and all that. But he actually, we would go to dinner when he was hurt last year in September and the team was on the road and he didn't travel, and he would just be chilling in the city and be like, you want to watch football? And we'd go to a bar and just watch football,
That's
whatever.
awesome.
But he's the same exact way. Even off of a camera or mic, he just sits there and thinks everything through and then responds. But no, Talkman's the best. But yeah, Voigt's great. It's tough to pinpoint. I mean, Canley was just so cool the other day. I'm sure Voigt will be fantastic. Brian Rucco, whenever we have him on, he's great. John Jastrzemski from WFN, he's a friend. He's great. These guys are just all awesome. They're just they're all personalities that really need to be shown to like the rest of the world rather than what you see on TV and all that. And we try to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And I just listened to the Canely interview a couple days ago, and it's just so funny because you always hear of like he's like this riled up, wild guy. Like you never know what to expect, and you literally got that in the interview. Like you'd go from talking about his Twitch, you'd be like, oh, like I didn't even know you had a Twitch. You'd be like, yeah, I have a Twitch. Like
The fact
he just
that
went so wall to wall. It was
the
awesome.
fact that he just streams up
Yeah.
until now, where like the secret's out because the MLB the Show League and all that.
Right.
But up until about it was a week ago, he was just streaming on Twitch. I was watching it. I didn't want to tweet it out or I knew it was going to come out in a day or two, so I didn't want to blow up a spot.
Mhm.
But he was streaming with Tyler Wade, Aaron Judge, and Britton. With them four playing Call of Duty, and there were 6 people watching, and no one had any idea.
That's crazy.
And that's just and he doesn't like he wasn't keeping it private. He just doesn't have social media to tweet it out. And Aaron Judge ain't gonna do that, and Tyler Wade's not gonna do that, and Britton's not gonna do that. So they would just stream 5 people. It's crazy. The Madden League too. They weren't keeping that a private. He was
not at all.
He was just like he streams everything he does on PlayStation. And that's just such a Tommy Canely move. It makes no sense whatsoever. But now he does it. Now he gets like 100 people and then when he streams the show, he gets like thousands. But yeah, he's just the best. He is a personality that Major League Baseball really needs to explore more and tap into more, and have the rest. I have like Red Sox fans who will DM me and be like, Tommy Canely is the best. Like it is impossible to hate that guy because it is so hard. It's so hard to hate Luke Voigt. Like these are people that like MLB really needs to just hold on to, and fuck Mike Trout. Like he doesn't want to be known.
I know.
Ignore him. Like
Yeah.
let him just live out in LA. Fuck that guy. There are plenty of other personalities, Francisco Lindor being one, of guys who just need to be blown up more and tweeted out more, and they need to do more content with these guys and more behind the scenes and mic'd up, because these people are fucking awesome, and that's how you get people to get more interested in baseball, because Tommy Canley's the perfect kind of guy to do that.
Yeah,
For
I mean, pre-ring Kawhi in the NBA, like no one, they let him do his thing. He obviously didn't want to be out in the public, and then you have your LeBrons and everyone else, and I think the MLB really just needs to get those kind of guys, and I think they're trending in that direction.
Yeah, 100%. And they're not bad. Tommy Canley's a great reliever. Like, he's not some schmuck. Like, he's a very, very good reliever. He gets people out, he gets fired up, and he feeds off the energy of fans and all that. It's just, these are guys that need to be tapped into more. So we're doing our part. We're trying, and hopefully MLB's listening.
Yeah, and for
He's
sure.
overlooked too. Tommy Canely is really overlooked, especially in our bullpen.
Definitely.
I feel like he doesn't get the credit he deserves.
We always do trust trees, and he always sits right on top of mine, even when he's not doing well, because I trust that changeup. That changeup is so good. So he's just the most consistent guy for me.
For sure. I even, going back until like the 2016, 2017, 2018 playoffs, like Chad Green was that guy for me. Like you could always find if you're in a jam, like I felt like Chad Green was always reliable during that. So
yeah, Chad's so interesting with his spin rate, because like it's not on a Mariano level, but it's just like it's an inexplainable phenomenon where he just develops so much spin. And he just throws a fastball. Like, he doesn't have that explanation for it. So, and he's working on a big curveball that he had in spring that was going well. So he's always adapting. Chad's really good. Chad, I always remember I was at a game where maybe, I don't know if he was a reliever then or a starter, but I was with my cousin. And he's a Red Sox fan. He's older, but he's like very into the analytics. And this is before Chad became Chad. He must have been a starter still. But he was just like, just wait for Chad Green. It's going to happen. He's going to they're going to put him in a situation that's perfect for him. His, like, all of his numbers, his velos, all that, his spin rate, it just all translates to this guy's going to be a stud at some point. And lo and behold, it took like a year, and then he just burst on the scene, and he was Chad Green. So he was right. I always remember that. Shout out to my cousin for that.
And as Tommy was saying, like, people are so overlooked in our bullpen just because it's so stacked. Like, you have such studs in Ottavino, Canely, Green, obviously Chapman. Like, you have so many good – Britton even. Like, you have so many good bullpen players that they get overlooked at times. Like, you forget that they're there and how dominant they are. And I think that's what I love about this team.
They have 5 closers on a team.
Yeah.
5 closers. Some teams have any. They have 5.
Yeah.
And then they have guys in the minors that could easily get called up and help out if they're not needed in the rotation. Guys like Mike King, Schmidt, Medina. They have so many guys that can just be useful for this bullpen that they don't even need, because they have these guys that they already have.
Yeah, and I mean,
throwing too I think Chapman throwing too. Those videos he's been posting have been hilarious. Not hilarious, but it's like the guy's just huge.
He's
like his legs are just
he's a
huge.
terrifying human being. He works out like a motherfucker, and there's a reason he throws 102 miles an hour.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And we're obviously wanting to get into the season, seeing these guys play the way that we know that they can. So we've been hearing reports about possibly getting the season started in Arizona. I mean, obviously that would be a lot of restrictions and everything. But what are your thoughts on realistic time frame with this season?
Yeah, I think what we've heard in the last week or so from Fauci and the governor of Arizona, it makes me think that it's almost a matter of when, not if, which is
Right.
nice. Even though I'm an eternal pessimist and I kind of expect the worst from everything, and anything else that happens that's good after that, it's like, oh, this is great, this is a surprise. But I think we get baseball by July. If everything trends, if people can actually stay the fuck inside for another month or two.
I know.
We don't do whatever the guy in Georgia is doing today or Florida, all that. It's ignore them. If Arizona just does their thing and everyone else kind of figures their own thing out, stays inside, it seems to be working. The numbers are dropping.
Right.
Then I think we can get baseball by July.
I agree.
I don't know I don't even know if you can call it. I think Jabba was saying this, how you can't call it a World Series title. Fine. I don't care.
I just want baseball.
I don't want the Yankees. It's not a dying need in me right now in 2020, the situation we're at, for the Yankees to win their 28th title right now. I just want to watch fucking baseball. I don't care if you call it the baseball cup. If you just call it something else, which you might have to do with all these new rules and shortened season, it's not going to be a normal season at all. But I just want to watch sports. I just want to watch baseball. I just want to watch Garrett Cole pitch for the Yankees. It's too much to ask for it. It's the Aaron Judge and pinstripes. I just want to watch these guys play. And and for there to be gambling lines on it and to legally gamble on it, that would be great. Great for the economy, great for Barstool, all that. I want all that. I just want baseball back. I want to be able to, and if this all works out how it should, we'll be getting games at 11 a.m. till 1 in the morning. It would be so sick. And then you get the NBA doing their thing if they can figure out to play in Vegas, the NHL in North Dakota, and who knows, the NFL. But and golf, the summer could be so good if we just follow the rules for the next month or two.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's enough, but it might be just enough to where we can do no fans and have sports, because America needs sports. We need as a society, we need it back to just gain a little bit of sanity back in our lives. So I'm holding out hope. I shouldn't be, because I know I'm going to get torn down if the numbers start creeping back up, but I don't know. I'm hopeful for July.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you see even Japan starting to get baseball back. For me, seeing that and to see them starting to play baseball again was kind of the click for me. I was like, you know what, this is, and even seeing the numbers kind of plateau, seeing that, I'm like, this could happen a lot sooner. Again, I'm like you, kind of pessimistic about this stuff. I don't even think we're going back to school in the fall. A completely unrelated note. But even I just want to see something soon, and I'm hoping it can, because we're seeing Japan that
Yeah, I mean, even I think Italy had their low. I think today was the first day in since it started where numbers started to decrease, which is that's a lot for Italy. And New York, things are starting to decrease, so you can only be a little optimistic. You see those and you hope that things plateauing and eventually starts really decreasing and we get rid of it. But who knows, man? Who knows? It's scary times. You got to take it very seriously. But, the sports fans and us are just holding on to dear life here, because I can't imagine it's April 20th. I can't imagine going 7 more months with just watching television and rooting for documentaries that come out. Can't be doing that.
Yeah. And so if they do get the season under the way, do you think it's World Series or bust? Think it's the year?
Always is. I mean, I
think you have to, right?
You're not saying, if you're not World Series or bust as a Yankees fan, then I don't want to talk to you.
Exactly. No, and it's just terrible. It's every year. It's oh my God, we're there. We're World Series. This past year, I told everyone, I was like, I'm betting you $20 they're winning. Whatever it was, I was like, this is the year. And to see that, it was so crushing. And I was like, all right, I need baseball this year, because I know they're gonna be, if not better, just as good. And then when they got Cole, I was like, come on, this is their year. And to see all this go on is kind of I need baseball back. I don't care how abbreviated of a season it is, to see them play and to dominate would just be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they're built to play no matter where. You want to play in outer space, you want to play in Arizona, you want to play in New Jersey, You want to play
Win by
7
20
innings, 3
runs.
innings, 9 innings. This team can win anywhere. They're so good. The bullpen 1 through 9, and the lineup, the rotation with Cole figured out after that. I know Sevy's down, but like they got plenty of young guys to take the spot. Paxton's not going to miss any time. Hicks might not miss any time. So
Right.
Judge and Giancarlo, so they should be as good as ever, maybe the best they've ever been when this shit resumes. So that's why it really sucks, and it really sucks for Yankee fans for this to happen like right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and to kind of wrap it up, we know you're a busy man, and we thank you for your time. But so we're kind of new at this. We've wrote a lot of blogs before, whether it was high school newspaper or did podcasts our own. Jack has a podcast for a couple of years. But what advice would you give to us or any upcoming young podcaster or blogger out there that's just trying to get their way into this business?
Well, first, you have to prove to yourself that you can be dedicated. So I would write in college and stuff, and I would try to write every single day because I knew if I were to eventually get a job like this, that I would have to be writing every single day. I'm writing 5 to 8 times a day. You just have to prove to yourself that you can be dedicated to it, and then it's for you. And then you got to work your ass off, and you got to really block out any negative noise you hear. Like, I was talking to a fucking girl on a dating app the other day, and she found out like who I was and all that, and she went to go read my recent blog and like sent me a picture of comments. Don't do that. Like the last thing you want to you block out all the noise. Like the negative comments are just such a small loud minority, and like there are plenty of other people reading your shit that really enjoy your shit, and they don't feel the need to reach out and all that, but you can see it through the numbers and all that and the clicks that like there's always just someone reading that's important and who appreciates your stuff, no matter if you're writing for the smallest blog in the world or the biggest. Like there's you always are writing, and you have to assume that someone really important is reading it and is going to notice it, because there's a lot of hidden talent out there that like like the KB Nostrags of the world, like those guys like he had big Twitter following, but like you had no idea the guy could write a blog like the way he does. So like it's just so many people out there who are so quiet, but they're so talented, and you just never know who's listening and who's going to read and who's going to send your blog to somebody and be like, you got to hire this guy. You have no idea. So you always have to just assume the most important person in the world is reading every single blog, and really block out any negative thing, like read it because it could be constructive criticism. My dad was always big on that with me when I used to be a sports announcer in like 5th grade or whatever, and I'd write up a report every Monday and Friday. I would do it over the loudspeaker, and it was a hit. Like it was really, really good. But like sometimes I'd write up this whole report. It's supposed to be 2 minutes, and he would tear it up in front of me, and I worked so hard on that 2 minute like that report, and he's like, the grammar is shit. Like this doesn't make sense, all that, and I have to redo it, and eventually it became really good. So constructive criticism is good, but sometimes like you can tell that certain criticism is just like, oh well, this guy's just an asshole, so you have to filter it out. But constructive criticism is good, and just always assume you're writing to the most important person, because that will just make it better.
Right. So Hubs, we thank you so much for your time. This was so much fun for all of us, and we hope you're staying safe and keep well throughout the rest of this. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. Best of luck at school. Hopefully they get it back up and running, so you guys can
hopefully soon
go to college and experience that some more. But yeah, other than that, this was a lot of fun. I'm gonna go eat some dinner right now, and go Yankees.
Awesome.
Yeah, so thank you so much. So signing off from Big Picture Sports Group, it's Jack, Tommy, and Hubs. So thank you guys.